Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 10-Minute Trades Pro Trade Room Plus. We're here for the U.S. Jobs Report, also known as NFP, non-farm payrolls. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. Okay, good morning. So there's a lot to cover this morning. I just wanted everyone to see this is the news that's coming out this morning, and these are the elements that make up the news. So there's quite a few pieces to the U.S. jobs report. The most important number is the non-farm payrolls. They're expecting 205,000, and if the number is negative, less than, not negative 100,000, if the number is less than 205,000 or 210,000, I think you're going to see the market respond well. The market wants a tame jobs report. There's no question that if the jobs report is hot, meaning 300,000, 400,000, the market's going to go down because it's going to be more inflationary. Already the Fed has everybody spooked. So it doesn't really affect us because we're just looking for a move in one direction when the news is released. But if you want to, if you do a lot of trading after news, or if you just want to understand the news. So that's what's most likely going to happen today. Employment rate is important. It's very low. And participation is important as well. But the most important number is the non-farm payroll number. I'm going to keep that off to the side. The other issue today is that this is a high margin event, in particular for NinjaTrader clients. For AMP clients, and some traders are using AMP from years ago, and they're still able to use AMP. AMP is a little bit confusing in the way they talk about margin. They sent an email. If you're trading MES, MNQ, MYM, M2Q, or the full size, they're listing what the margin will be per contract. So it's 25% of the maintenance margin, okay? Ninja is using the full maintenance margin. And Ninja, it's just very confusing if they're including every futures contract. AMP seems to be just including the indexes, but I just find it hard to believe that they're not raising the margin on gold and oil. So I think because a lot of the brokers consider this a high margin event, it's a wise idea to trade it as if the instruments that we trade are high margin. Either way, it's a risky event that offers an opportunity for profit. Okay? It's been trading well. We've been making money on the report, but there's no denying that it's high risk because of the importance of the data and the fact that the brokers are creating a margin event. I mean, that's essentially what's going on. So what happens if you try to trade an instrument and you don't have enough margin? Most of the time, it just won't allow you to trade. You'll get a message you can't trade, that you don't have enough margin. It is possible, because their computers can screw up, that you could enter a trade, the computer could catch up, and it could shut your trade down when you don't want it to. It's possible. So it's probably smart not to trade extra contracts unless you know for sure you have a big enough account to cover the margin. So there's a good way, a simple way to figure out if you have enough money. Figure, if you're trading the S&P, it's $10,000 per full-size contract for the ES. So you got to have at least, 12, you should have at least 12,000 to trade one contract. Okay. I like to double it, to be honest, for complete safety. I mean, it's not necessary to double it. You could, if you need 10,000 to trade, having 13,000 is not unreasonable for one per contract. But what Ninja is saying is it's 10,000 for one ES, 15,000 for one NQ, 7,500 for a YM, 5,800 for an RTY. I do think that, and Ninja's a little bit unclear on their margin when it comes to oil, but I really believe they are limiting gold as well. So you want to just trade the number of contracts that you're positive you can trade based on the money that you have. If you want to trade bonds, you could trade ZN on this report instead of ZF, you could trade ZF instead of ZN. You could trade micros. If you want to trade our oil setup, you could trade with micros, MCL. And I know a lot of you trade the micros when it comes to just trading. I know Calvin's out there. He's probably going to trade MNQ on this report. And there's people that trade MES. So that's a way you could keep your risk down. And if you want to trade live and experience a trade, you certainly can do that. Okay? So it's just a heads up. And you have to understand that our software is 2 contracts for each order that's put on the chart. So we are double. If we put 2 orders on, it's 4 contracts, because that's how the brokers count it. Even though we're not trading 4, because we're putting double the amount of orders on the chart, our margin is double. So now I don't think, now normally in the old days, I would trade 2 setups at once. And because of margin, I would probably just trade 1 setup on this report. We've been trading bonds. The oil setup has been working very well. So it's certainly not unreasonable to trade the oil setup. And there is an error on the report. When I proofed the DMM yesterday, I never scrolled past the jobs report. There's no ISM event today. It was last week. So just keep in mind, there's no ISM today. It was last week. Okay. So the oil setup, it's a breakout trade. It's a trigger activation time of 8:29:58. It's a bracket of 7, bracket of 8, sorry, bracket of 8. Targets range from 10 to 35 on oil, 10 to 35. Okay. So the DMM is 15. I like to use like a target of 12 on oil. The stop is a 20. Stop is a 20. And I just want to check the margin. I would use a target of 12 and then a target of 30 on my second, and I would manage the trade. So the important things are the stop, which is 20, the trigger time, which is 8:29:58. It's a breakout trade, the bracket, and the targets can be a range, okay, honestly, the targets can be a range between 8 and 35. Just be prepared to manage your trade. And then I'm going to look at the margin and just decide which one I want to trade. If I want to trade oil or bonds. I've been trading bonds, so I may just watch oil. And I'm just going to label the trade oil, or maybe I'll just trade one oil. Trade oil. But it's a trade that could need management. So it might be a good idea today because it is such a volatile day. Everybody's looking at the market so carefully today. There's a lot of interest and pressure on the Fed, on everything is dependent. It's very dependent on what happens on this report. So there's a lot of volatility expected. Okay, so oil, which has been behaving very well on this trade, 829.58 on this event. 829.58 is the activation. Bracket of 8. Targets ranging between 8 and 35-ish. A stop of 20. Okay. That's a possible way of setting it up. Make sure your account warnings are off. The instrument we're trading is CL423 if you're trading oil. And just a comment on Canada's jobs report. You know, we've done our testing on the Canada jobs report. I know Larry is out there. Larry's probably one of the only ones I know who's going to trade it. And he's probably leaning towards a breakout. Our testing showed that the trap trade is better these days on Canada jobs. So I just wanted to give anybody out there who had interest, if you're interested, the bracket we would use would be a bracket of 12 if you're insisting on a bracket. It's been whippy the last couple of months. Bracket of 12, targets of 7 and 25 with a stop of 25. Correct, Ali, correct. Activation is different for the instruments, correct. And then on the trap trade on Canada jobs, we would use tiers of 30 and 50 with a stop of 20. 30 and 50, stop of 20, prep 5 seconds. So right now, oil, I want to look at the ninja margins in a second. I generally like trading bonds on the jobs report, but oil's been working very well. So the bonds are a breakout. 829.59 is the trigger time. The bracket is 7. And I would probably use targets of 7, anywhere between 6 and 25. Six and 25. The stop is 12. And I would say the stop is between 12 and 15. You know, it's all about how much risk you're willing to take. If you are trading ZN, just to give you an idea, if your stop is 15, you're risking approximately $225 per contract. So it's a little bit less. With a stop of 12, you're under 200 per contract. So we've got targets Bracket of 7, trigger time 8:29:59. Targets range from 6 and 25. I'm thinking conservative today, but you just never know. If it's a big, I think if there's a strong negative number in jobs, that would make for the best move today. That's what I think. I don't think it matters ultimately, other than the fact that we want a good move, just conjecture, right? What might create the best move for us, a move in one direction. I think it's very possible that that would be a lousy jobs report. A lousy jobs report meaning less jobs created. It's not a true lousy report like it was years ago. Gold is also tradable, Muriel. There's three possible setups. If you want, gold is the most volatile setup, okay, but it's our longest traded setup, and you can just use the DMM exact. If you want a little bit calmer setup, the bond setup and the oil setup are less volatile setups, and they all have been working very well. That's the truth. They've all been working very well. Gold is the most challenging to trade because there's also, it has the most volatile reaction. I do want to welcome everybody who's watching us on YouTube. This is our free YouTube stream of the week. So I believe me, I haven't forgotten gold. I'm going to go over that now. I'm just going to look at my bond brackets. I'm just going to save a template. NFP, ZN, breakout, and today's date, 3/10. So it's been a very good trading week. We've made, with Eric and I both trading, we're up almost $1,000 this week and trading small. We've been trading like members would trade. We're not trading huge amounts. We're trading to teach. So those are my bond brackets. Now, gold, I know a lot of people like trading gold. The issue with gold, let me just get my bond trade set up so I don't forget anything at the end. So I'm putting my time back on, 8:29:59. One more time, I'm looking for trading two positions. Target ranges are between 6 and 25. The stop is 12. We're trading ZN 623. ZN 623. Okay. Charts are on live, trading for real. Okay. Real money. So my ZN trade is ready. Okay. Because of margin and because of management, I'm only trading one setup. I'll watch oil on the right. I'm not even setting up the trade, to be honest. But if something happened and bonds might be just too volatile to trade, I have my oil set up so that I can switch to oil and trade it instead of bonds by just unchecking the bond trade and checking the oil trade. So the oil setup is 8:29:58. Targets range between 8 and 35-ish. Stop of 20. So that's $200 roughly per contract on oil. Okay. And again, you can trade MCL. If I were trading MCL on this report, I would look for a bigger stop. I'd probably use at least a 35 tick stop. And I'd probably go with a little bit bigger bracket. I'd probably go with a 10 bracket. So 829.58 is the trigger, stop of 20 on regular oil. And I'm not putting my oil trade on because I'm using it as a backup live. Okay, so I'm just watching oil. I would trade oil if the bond market just looks too volatile before the event. I don't anticipate it, but it's nice to have a backup on a report that has a nice probability of making money. Now you could see gold's been trading well. The bracket is 25. Activation time is 829.59. And targets. What do you do with targets, right? Look how big the movements are when gold wins. They're very big, but it does spike and chop a lot. Okay. And there's sometimes lower liquidity than you expect. I think if I were trading gold, I would keep my first target around the 15 area, and I might go to 50 or 60 on my second target, absolutely being prepared to manage the trade. Okay. Being prepared to manage the trade, meaning you might not automatically hit your targets immediately. The stop is 35 on gold. So I want to check Ninja Traders margins. First off, before we do that, let's check our time sync and make sure that your computer is in sync. And my computer is in sync. Ninja Traders margins are as follows. Hang on one sec. So we have a document that we've been watching. And they've been changing their doc. They changed their whole website. Ninja did. So bear with me. So the Ninja margins, and they are using maintenance margin, okay, for most of their contracts. So ES, you need 10,000 per contract. NQ 15,800. But gold and oil I was interested in because Ninja is saying that many of their instruments, more instruments than AMP is using, have high margin. So it's wise. Gold is 7590, 7,600 per contract. Gold. Now, MGC is micro gold. A lot of people trade micro gold. And then oil is 7,700 per contract. Okay. 7,700 per contract. So that's, if I wanted to trade 2 oils and 2 bonds, I would be pushing my margin if I wanted to do it all live. So that's why I'm trading just bonds this morning, not being crazy. Also, I'd like, if we did not have a winning trade, we'd still have a nice profit for the week. And, you know, if you're looking to maintain, if you had a very good trading week and there's a report like this where, yes, it's a nice opportunity for profit, but it's volatile and, you know, the brokers are considering it a high margin event, you can trade micros and you can trade carefully so that you maintain the profit you made all week. You don't have to trade the most risky in the most risky manner. There's never any shame in protecting your money. Now, I'm willing to trade bonds because they've been trading very well on this report. So there's a good possibility we'll get a good event. And then I'm watching oil. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? I know we've covered a lot. Last month, the report. This is what happened in February. Let me get my clock out of the way here. So February 3rd, bonds on the left, gold on the right. I was watching gold last month on the right. Bonds on the left, gold simulated on the right. There's the bond bracket and a very nice move. There was a lot of slippage on bonds last month because it filled us very low down the candle. And gold also had plenty of slippage, if I remember correctly, but it was a huge move and also a good winner. And crude was a winner last month as well. So we can certainly get some large moves on this event. And there can be slippage. We've seen everything on this report over the years. So you could see though the markets are consolidating, right? Right now bonds are fairly quiet. They're fairly quiet. They've had some significant movement since 6 p.m. last night. On what, Weldon? On what? I'm pretty much following the DMM. I've been following the DMM. 7 on ZN. A bracket change of 1 tick or 2 ticks on bonds, Weldon, does not make a difference when you have such large moves. Slippage is more of a factor. Using a bracket of 7 or 8 isn't going to make a difference on this report today because of the size of the move. If you get a straight down move. So I'm watching the news off to the side. The big number is the non-farm payroll number. They're expecting about 205,000 jobs. And I don't know what the number is going to be, but I know the market would love that number to be below that. 150 would be considered a great jobs report because it would give the Fed room to maybe not be so hawkish. And when you look at Thursday's unemployment claims, they were up, I think, for the first time in a while, and it created a really tradable move on the ES. Thursday's unemployment numbers. All right, so we're just waiting. We've got about a minute, a little bit more than a minute to go. So we'll see. You know, what we're looking for is a good reaction. That's all we want. So we're just watching the bonds. I'm trading bonds, ZN. "20 seconds before the news is released." A terrible report for us. Okay, so it hit my first target. I tried to bring my target down because of the chop. Because of the chop, I tried to bring my target down, but it hit my stop. No problem hitting a first target. No problem hitting a first target. We're going to go over everything that took place. We'll go over everything that took place. Let's let everybody exit their trades. Let's give trading a minute or two. Bonds had a very, very tradable move, hit my first target. Oil, I was just watching out of the corner of my eye, so I'm not sure yet what happened on oil. Bonds, I tried to grab some extra profit before it reversed on me, and I couldn't get the profit, couldn't get it. The reversal was too quick. Okay, in a minute, as your trade ends, type in what happened to you. Type in what happened to you. Ali, you were able to move your target better than I was. Good for you. I could not get my target moved. Ali, very nice trade. 500 for Ali. So type in if you traded live or sim and give me a nice roll call on what happened in your trade. Give me a nice roll call. What happened to you in your trade? And what instrument did you trade? What instrument did you trade? Okay. And if you traded Canada or not. Okay, oil. Fred says he traded oil. These are very nice. Traded ZF, 476, 56. Nice trade. Anyone trade gold? Let's take a quick look at gold. Make sure that if you change your charts, that your software is not enabled, that your software is off. Who traded gold? Anybody trade gold? So John, looks like the oil setup was a winner. Looks like the oil setup was a winner. We have people checking in on oil. Bonds we know was a winner. No reason to lose money on bonds on that trade. All you had to do is hit your first target and move your stop. Okay. No reason to lose money on bonds. If you traded bonds and lost money, then you need to practice trade management, and there's some techniques you can do. Okay. So, Doc, it didn't hit your first target. Now, sometimes on a setup, you could get a fill that's not as good as what other people get because it's a very, very volatile event. A very, very volatile event. Looks like ZF had a phenomenal move. Looks like ZF had a phenomenal move. Bonds, they had a big burst, but it was a low volume burst, so it didn't get to my, and it also just didn't get to my second target. It did not get to my second target. I was a little bit aggressive on my second target, and then it pulled back. ZF looks like people made some nice money. So keep typing in what you traded. I don't see anybody on gold. Did
I'm here,
anyone
Lee.
trade gold?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I did. Can you hear me? Yes. Well, I'm glad that nobody traded gold, and I and like you said, Lee is a very smart man. And for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Eric Roth. I'm one of the partners here at 10 Minute Trades. Gold, unfortunately, was a whip. So I'm very, very happy that to see that no one really traded gold. And you said it, right? You said, guys, this is gold was the trickiest one, the most challenging one to trade. And that's exactly why behind the scenes I traded it, right? Because that's part of the value that we bring to our community here is that we test different setups. So it was definitely a whip, Lee. And if you want, you could just kind of look at the candle. But I'm jealous, guys, because I wanted to trade bonds so badly. But you know that's why we test different setups. And it's clear to me that the bonds, CL, and what was the other setup that we had? ZF.
Well, you could trade ZF or ZN. The official setups were ZN, CL, and gold. Those are
I
official.
got you. So two of our three setups worked beautifully, and gold, we know the deal. Gold always is with a caveat that it could be challenging to trade. So behind the scenes, I did trade it. It was a whip, but I'm happy to see Lee. Wow, $500. Congratulations. I always like to shout out all of our folks that are actually, not only trading in sim, but now have transitioned to trading live. And Lee was actually has been with us now for a few months. So congratulations, Ali. Really, that really makes my Friday. Lee and I, we always talk. It's never about us. It's always about you guys. And so that's music to my ears. Fred, $140 on crude oil. Lee, is it all right if was there anything you wanted to get into, or can I chat a little bit?
Yeah, no, Chad, let me just ask Chantal to do one thing for me. Chantal, if you're here, Chantal, can you hear me? I just want to do one thing that'll help everybody if she's here. You know what?
Sure.
Don't sweat it. You could talk, Eric, and I'll pull up your trade too.
No, actually, Lee, I didn't actually send it to you because
Oh, okay.
my Loom.
That's okay.
I didn't send it to you yet, but I will definitely share later my Loom account. I'm having issues with my Dropbox and Loom. So first of all, Loom is a great tool to record. The only caveat is you have to make sure that when you're on a free trial, that it only records for 5 minutes. And I think that's what must have happened because I set up my recording for like the 10 minutes before. So just FYI, if you do use like a free tool like Loom, sometimes it has like a 5 minute limit. And also Dropbox. Ali, I don't want to hold you up or any of our other winners. That's my top priority to make sure that our Dropbox link works so that all of our winners today could submit their videos. But you could always get your videos to us via helps at 10 Minute Trades. Yeah. So really, where was I going with the talking here? Yeah, I was kind of giving a shout out to everyone. So Caesar made $476 live, and I really like that you guys are specifying live. Frank made 7 ticks and 19 ticks on ZN live. Good job, Frank. John made $150. Now, which John is this? Is this John in the challenge right now? $150 crude live? Is that you, John?
Yes, I believe
It
so.
is.
Now, let me
Wow.
just interrupt you for 1 second. That's interesting. That's very
Sure.
interesting. Caesar has been with us off and on for years. Calvin,
Wow.
off and on, never
Yes.
off. Calvin has been here as long as I have. Doc, off and on for years. Doc's had big winners this week. My point is that Weldon been with us for a very long time. That we have people that have been with us. Some of them are here longer than me. And so that just tells you that if you learn to do this the right way, obviously it can really be a great way to trade. I just wanted to say that because we have so many members that have been here for a long time and we never shout them out.
Yes, no, Lee, great. And one of the protocols after every trade is to, of course, do a roll call, shout out how everyone did. But one of the things that we totally missed, which I would like to do, is looking at the results. Would you mind just scrolling on the investing, and can I kind of do a quick analysis on the numbers?
Yeah, hang on. Let me just get it up the right place. Hang on.
No problem.
I mean, we know. I mean, I heard it in my ear.
Hmm.
So there was one thing that happened, and it's obvious what happened here today.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's probably why, first of all, very, very fortunate that everyone had a good trade, and I'll explain why. Whenever there's a report like it's and there's a reaction to it, right? Like today's trade, right? What happened here? There's a story, right? And the story usually relies on what the data shows. So as Lee is pointing over, you could see that the most important number, right, is there's two of them, but the most important one is how many jobs were actually created month over month. So last month, the forecast was 224,000. Guess what? 311, right? So that was much better than expected, right? Which is really the weight of the jobs report. That's it. But okay, you could see that the unemployment rate, if you want to point to it, even though I know supposedly very low, right? Um, not to get into it, but there's always people on both sides, not that kind of question how this number is calculated. Uh, so it's 3.6, and you see it's in red, so it's negative. So you have actually two positive and negative news, which would explain why gold was a whip. And I actually was not watching your charts, Lee. So you're gonna have to tell me what was the reaction for bonds. Was it whippy? Did it shoot? Did it reverse? Was it easy to capture? What was the? How did it behave?
The biggest problem on bonds, it did not whip at all. It shot and pulled and then was super choppy. So I failed. And for me, I was just not good at getting my target moved. A lot of people did better than me. It was not that it was in danger of a bad trade, because it really wasn't, but it was a very big burst and then it pulled back very fast, but it didn't pull back into negative territory. So it was a good instrument to trade.
Got it. Very cool. So, guys, before I go, because I want to turn it back to Lee, I just want to let you know a couple things. First of all, I want to, this is the stream of the week, so we have invite our entire, basically the whole world is here who wants to who's interested in what we do, right? We post this out to our list, etc. So I want to thank everyone for coming in, and most importantly, it's not just entertainment, right? I want to make sure everyone gets good education. So that's why we take the time to explain. You saw all the setups, the analysis that we did, before the trade, and then led by example, right? And each traded the ZN, the bonds, which actually is one of my favorite instruments to trade on this. That's actually the instrument that I use to trade to make, tens of thousands of dollars. Um, over the years, um, you know, and also crude oil. That one, I shared a story yesterday about I'm not going to repeat it again, but if you want to know something, the first live trade of my life on the jobs report was with crude, and I didn't have the JB software. This is going back to like 2011, and I made $300 manually, and could have made like over $1,000 if I knew what I did. If I had the software and if I knew what I was doing, if I had the skill set now. But guys, before I go, great job everyone who made money. For those who traded on sim, there's no rush. There's no reason to feel like, oh my God, I missed out on the opportunity. Trust me, patience. And Lee did a great job explaining. We have people that have been here forever, longer than Lee, right? Lee's been here 7 years. I'm actually celebrating my 10-year anniversary next month. Will be my 10-year anniversary. And then one last thing before I go, for folks that are in our current 10-day challenge, please, 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 it's a very big please and a very big must to come at 12 noon. So I could the topic is how to win the challenge, and I'm going to give you guys instructions. And then please, everybody here in the trade room, just thank you for your patience. And I know I said this before, but 100% today you're going to get a Dropbox link that's corrected, so you could submit your videos for the Trade of the Week winner. And the winner gets, if it's a video that Lee happens to pick, and he picks it. Just sorry to throw you under the bus, but Lee actually, it's not always about who makes the most money. It's about Lee really knows what trades where he has his. When I go, he'll explain how he chooses it. But right now, it's $10 if it happens to be just a screenshot, and $25 Amazon gift cards if it happens to be a video. So Lee, great job leading the group here today. I hope everyone feels warm and feels warm. I hope everyone felt a nice warm welcome. For those of you that don't usually come on YouTube, give us a like, of course. If the stream is still on, drop us a comment. Let us know that you're alive and listening. And even here in the Pro Trade Room, give us, it means the world to me and Lee just to drop us a line. Let us know what your experience was today, because we love it. We love to get feedback from you. So Lee, anything you want to tell me before I go?
I actually want to know one thing. What's the link for today's class? Is it the same as always, or is it the graduation
Yes.
link?
No, it's not the graduation link, and I did email it to everybody.
Okay.
And yeah, I did email it to everyone, and I'll send out another reminder too. It's not the
All right.
graduation
I'll
link. It's the
post it.
same link. Okay. All right, guys. I hope everyone has a great weekend. For those of you that are, not in the challenge, just in the trade room. And what a fantastic week, Lee. I think all in with this, even with this 156, I think you're up over $1,000 for the week. Is that right? Around more or
We
less?
would be if I add your trade the other day. I'm like 800-ish, 800-ish,
Yep.
trading like
Right.
four
I
lots
just
of.
want I just want to focus on the trades that you took in the pro trade room, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'll go over them exactly. I think I'm close to 1,000. I'm close to 1,000. A little bit under. A
Not
little bit under.
not a bad week. And you see that we're Lee's trading very light. And even when I heard you say, folks, like the margins are so high, that's how many contracts did you trade today?
I only traded two. Normally I'd trade 4 or 5 on this.
Exactly. So we try to mirror also what you would be experiencing too. So even just one or two contracts on most of the trades that you took this week, we're looking at, I'll let you actually give the full answer, but it's looking like a very healthy, profitable week. So that's really great news, and congratulations to all our winners. And I can't wait to see all your submissions. And thank you guys. I'll be with the challengers 12 noon, and I'll be going over how to win the challenge. All right, Lee, back to you.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so Frank, actually, I see you had a question for Eric. I don't know if he's still hearing me. Eric, if you had a favorite market, would it be ZN?
Yeah, actually, it
It's
would be
ZB, isn't it,
Z.
Eric? Wouldn't it have
Yeah,
been
yeah.
ZB? That's where you made your money.
Yes, I think maybe I misspoke. Yeah, it's really the ZB. The ZB was the instrument that we traded for the jobs report for a long period. In fact, before the ZB was introduced as an instrument to trade on this, it had, and I'm not kidding you, like before, we traded crude oil, like I mentioned before, and then Jay, right, uh, my partner Jay, the founder, right, he studied the bonds report, and a lot of times people are like, "Oh, look at this instrument; it's working the last 3 months. We should trade this." That's not our protocol. Of course, we look at the short-term trends too, but in order for Jay to sanction an instrument for us to trade, the ZB had like a 21-month like perfect record. Um, so just think about that: 2 years of like flawless jobs reports where you could have like went all in every month. I shouldn't say that, but you could have traded pretty healthy. And only after 2 years did we start trading it, right? So yeah, I would say the ZB. The bonds in general, they don't really, they're not like they never really tend to have as crazy um, movements in as volatile as crude oil or gold. Sure, they've definitely had their, in some, I remember also seeing some indecision, but in general, I feel like the way that they move, I'm more comfortable with the ZB. All right. Can you hear? Oh, you don't hear me, Muriel?
Are people hearing me? I'm talking now. I'm wondering if you're hearing me. Testing
Maybe
one,
they're
two,
not
one,
hearing.
two.
Can you guys
They're
hear
not
me and
hearing
Lee?
you. I'm hearing you,
Okay.
Eric, but they're not.
Okay.
And now I think it's okay. Folks, I'm going to refresh the sound. I'm going to refresh the sound. It only takes
Lee,
5 seconds.
I'm gonna go though. Okay, Lee, you relate to
Yes.
everyone.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I'll see you later.
See you later.
Okay. Test 1, 2, 1, 2. I refreshed the sound. I hope that helps people that have not been hearing anything. Chantal, you can close out YouTube. Thanks everybody on YouTube for our stream of the week. You watched the way we trade. Please go to www.10minutetrades.com, sign up for our free schedule, and get involved with us at 10minutetrades.com. Okay, good. Larry.